Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 36th episode of Tales of Tamriel. I am Aggelos, your lovable Nordic host. And with me this afternoon, TJ herself. How you doing, TJ?
I'm good. I'm good.
It's awesome.
The reason he's calling me TJ is because apparently men marry women like their mothers. And his mother's name is Tina. So he's been calling me Tina Jr. all day.
That's right. So there you go. So yes, Thais is here, and you may also call her TJ. I will give, gold to people who call her TJ in game.
Oh, that's not fair.
Yeah. Also joining us, the man with the plan, ruler of all the dirty elves, Deltia of Deltia's Gaming. How are you today, good sir?
2 up, 1 down.
Oh, all right. There you go.
Very good. Glad to be back.
Excellent. All right. I also want to give a special thanks to a fan of the show, Kilted Piper, for his donation. Thank you so much for your support. It really does mean a lot to us. Thank you for being a fan of the show. And I know all of us here agree with this, but without people like you and, all the fans in the show, you guys make it worth us doing this. We love doing it for the community. We love your interaction. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for helping support us. All right. Well, now it's time to get in the show because we have a lot to go over. First up, in-game news. Patch 1.4.5 dropped on Monday, and that is a small incremental patch that addresses a number of issues, including audio dropouts, itemization, crafting UI errors, and a handful of gameplay issues. Generally speaking, this one wasn't actually a huge patch. It's just some things that needed fixed, such as an issue where you could lose sounds on your character after you fast traveled in Cyrodiil. And of course, they did fix the unusual running manner with restoration staff, even though some people said we really should keep that.
I want the restoration butt run. Come on.
I think that's what one of the things they fixed was the
butt run. Oh, boo.
The butt run is now removed. So, yeah, sorry about that, guys. The other thing is that it was a slight nerf to restoration staff, even though it's not really a nerf. It was something they fixed because they removed it in update 4, but it was still doing its damage. The Circle of Life, they fixed an issue with this passive where it was still increasing your damage. We have removed the damage increase, and using this passive will now correctly only increase your Magicka Restore. So no more single target superb DPS coming from restoration staff. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah. Otherwise, there wasn't a whole bunch to this patch, but if you're curious about any of these patch notes, you can check them out on the official Elder Scrolls Online forums. Next up on game news. So, ESO loyalty program happened, and I got a High Hrothgar pet. Deltia, did you get yours?
Oh, yeah. I got it.
How long did it take you to get it? Because I know when I logged in, I had it, and you're like, what, did you get it already? How'd you get it?
Yeah, it took a bit since I played this game religiously and hadn't logged off in 5 hours. I had to relog, and then it was in the mail, so it was just one of those things.
Nice, nice. And TJ?
Mine is still sitting in my mail because I don't have a place for it, and my bank is full, and my character's full, so...
Well, you might want to get it out, because doesn't it delete after 30 days?
Yeah, but why wouldn't I get it out before 30 days?
I don't know. Because you forgot about it?
If I forgot about it, I would have mentioned it.
Oh, well, that's only because I mentioned the loyalty program, but okay.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
All right.
If I were you,
remind me later, and I'll make sure I get it out.
Worst case scenario, get on an alt, grab it on there, and hold it on there. Just don't delete them.
Oh, yeah. Go do that.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so, this is the start of the ESO loyalty program for subscribers. The longer you are subscribed, the more rewards you will get. So I'm kind of curious to see what the next thing's going to be. I'm hoping for a mount. New mount. Or that dog pet that Deltia wants.
Oh, man. I'd go bananas over that.
I just want the dog.
I want a dog, bro.
If I could have bought it on Steam for the dog and then just transferred and applied, I would have done it too.
No problem.
But it was a separate account. They're like, no, it only works on Steam, so it'd be a separate. I'm like, no, I want it to follow my guide now. If I will give you the money,
I'll give you
so I can apply the code.
Something.
Yeah. All right. Next up on game news. This is going to be kind of interesting, but regular maintenance window is officially down to 1 day a week. So starting immediately, they will be removing the second maintenance window. That's Thursdays for the North American mega server and Friday for the European mega server. But they will be keeping the maintenance window at the beginning of the week, Monday for North America and Tuesday for the European mega server. So that's kind of cool. I guess they kind of got most of their stuff down. They can do everything within one maintenance period now, unless it's emergency, of course. So that's exciting, because I know, Deltia, I've seen a couple of your tweets every once in a while going, great, I want to play, and it's down.
Well, when you live on this game, there's no good time for maintenance.
Yeah, I'm always at work, so I'm like, I don't know. Well, I'm glad they keep Monday, because Monday's my hardest day to get going to work. And I log into the game every Monday morning, just,
get your crafters out.
Yeah. But I know it's time to leave for work when the server goes down. That's the only way I know how to leave the house. Well, the server goes, time to leave now. I guess
I got nothing else to do, all right?
I got nothing else to do. I might as well go to work. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm glad they got it down, because not that I minded so much, but some people I know were complaining about having two, especially people who work like night shift and only played in the morning. This kind of ate into their playtime during the week. All right. Let's see here. Okay, next up on the game news, new Battlemaster corner, Blue Flame Battlemage.
Okay, can I go?
Interesting. Yeah, it's all you, man.
I love this one. I love this build. I love this build more than my Lightning Tornado build. This was awesome. Great idea. You can tell this person really knows their class, because there's one particular part that a lot of people don't think about in terms of Dragon Knights, why they're so powerful, is that you get stamina, magic, and health back based on the amount of ultimate you use. So they have Ice Comet, which I would have picked like Warhorn or something else, but the same principle applies. So they're doing double restoration staff and resto on DPS, and then also healing on a restoration staff. Had a really good setup with abilities. I thought they had a lot of utility and still could do a lot of damage. I wouldn't have gone too heavy though. They were using 5 light too heavy. But the premise is cool. I really like this build. It was unique, different, and effective, which is hard to get. It's not a cookie cutter, but yet it can do some things. So I thought this build was really cool. The picture was awesome. The idea, the name, the premise. I like this sort of stuff. So I think it was a great idea, and pulling more of these things from the community. I love it. So good job on this selection.
Wow, a little surprised. This is one of the first ones that had a positive review from you.
I love it. It was just, I could tell the person's writing that they knew their class. They knew it. And they did something different, but yet it still works, and they explained why it still works. It's just, you can't just put a few abilities together and say, yeah, I kill stuff. Well, why? Yeah. And explaining that, and explaining one little nuance that no one really thinks about, that's powerful, and they center around that. It was really cool.
Sweet. The one thing I actually did like about this is they had a sideboard spells section on their DPS side, where they kind of this is what I normally run with, but here are my situational spells where, depending on what I'm going into, this is what I use. And I thought that was kind of neat, because a lot of builds, generally, they only do the 5 and 5 and the ultimate, whatever. But they're like, yeah, this is my build, this is what I do. But this guy's like, this is my build, but in specific situations, I switch out these abilities because these ones are more useful. So they don't have to essentially switch builds. They're like, this is my build for all play, and these are my, backup spells when it warrants it.
Right.
Yeah. Nice build. I kind of like the little roleplay section at the top too. Neat for the little role players.
Yeah, it looks cool too. I mean, I thought it was well done, and wasn't too much information. They got to the point, and it made sense. So it was good.
Well, this is one game where I fully support role players because the lore is amazing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really get it myself, that's not my thing, but, for those who do, this is the perfect game for you to just kind of lose yourself in the game and create your own content, it really is.
And plus, technically speaking, you can argue over the lore because no one's really right, because no one really knows what the right answer is.
Well, it's kind of like history. In real life and history, it's like, You know, they go back and revise it every other week, it seems like. So all the stories and stuff like that, they're probably somewhat true. All of them have their own little version. And same just like this. Is like, well, you know, when was that? What about Talos? Was he really a god or a dude or whatever? And I don't know. It's cool. The lore is fascinating because of the gods and the myth. I like the god factor in this game and that they interact with the players. That's why I love this series and franchise, is the gods. That they're so unique. They're so unique. They carry on human characteristics, and that's what really makes this game different and fascinating.
And depending on the culture from which you look at it, the gods may have, they like, in particular, one of my favorite to look at is Akatosh and Lorcan, even though Lorcan's not really one of the divines, he was one of the original spirits that created the world. Those are the only two that appear in all Tamrielic religions. But it's funny
they're
how
all different. Yeah, Dunmer have their own. Yeah.
I love, my favorite is the Khajiit, because Akatosh is the great dragon cat king of time or something like that. They always have to have cat in there, so it's the great dragon cat of time. Gotta love the Khajiit. All right, off that little rabbit trail, we're gonna move on to the next section. And Thais, how much do you want money right now?
Very much.
Yeah.
Yes, a bunch of it.
Lots of it, because there's a new Heroes of Tamriel statue out, the High Elf. Even though High Elf, I don't know.
It looks cool though. It looks sick.
It does.
It really does. This follows the same vein as the Archer that we saw from the cinematics, but now this is the High Elf lady. There are, let's see here. Oh my. There's only 1,000 standard edition and 500 of the exclusive editions available. Difference being is the exclusive edition, the little spell that she has in her hand has like an LED in it, so it lights up with that little green light flame ball thing she's got going on. But yeah, if you're interested, you can check out either the official Bethesda merchandise store, or you can go to Gaming Heads and get it as well. However, that being said, let's see here. I'm trying to look at the price. This is deposit item only.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Retail price for the standard edition is $310.
You know, and I messaged them. I mean, I don't know if they read it or not, but I was like, I really think this stuff's cool, but we need a little bit more, price-conscious items. I can't afford this all the time. Like the hoodies and stuff like that, that's really cool, because $40-$50, I can drop that every once in a while, but I can't even buy one of these once a year. That's like, 3 years of subbing right there, or 2 years. It's just, it's a little too much. I don't know.
And I get it with the whole, what they're trying to do with the limited edition kind of stuff. You do get one, that's great. I don't mind these in between, but yeah, like things that well, my goodness, right now, well, she was wearing a ESO hoodie, and I'm wearing actually my Elder Scrolls t-shirt right now. I bought one of those. But yeah, like I like some of their other physical swag, but yeah, these are one of those things that's just out of my price range. Like I wouldn't want to spend this much money on this type of thing where I could put it in other locations.
Well, I'd love it against the back wall on my little stream and stuff, but I just don't have $3,000 to keep buying them all. You know what I mean?
If anyone wants to donate to us,
DeltiasGaming.com. No.
Exactly. We do not only just accept cash donations. These little presents right here, we just love the.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're fine with that. All right. But that being said, if you do got a little bit of extra, cheddar in your wallet, that's what I said, cheddar, you may go out and purchase these, or at least put a deposit on them. They are really cool. And to be honest, I wish I could afford them, because I would have loved to got the exclusive editions of all three of them.
Oh, man, that would be so sick. And have the background in a glass case. That would be so cool.
That would be cool. Yeah.
But we're poor gamers, so
we are. But speaking of chat room, Steldian says Ag had to buy an ESO t-shirt because Deltia never gave him one of his shirts.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let's stop. Okay, these t-shirt thing. Now, I was trying to find out. There's actually places that you don't have to pre-order them, and then they just ship them out to your customers. It's like Booster, Boost Up, or something like that. So I'm gonna get the account set up that way. To support the site, you could buy a shirt if you wanted. And I'm not going to make a huge profit or anything, but a couple bucks. So I'm going to look at do that, because otherwise I have to front up a lot of money to make those and ship them, and it costs a lot of money. But I'm working on that. Believe me, I want more Deltia's gaming shirts out there.
Nice. All right, well, enough making Deltia feel bad. Let's go ahead and move on to the next bit of news. Yeah, I know. We're trying to get through the news fairly quickly because we got a lot to talk about in the discussion topic.
Oh, news. Come on.
Yeah, news.
Dude, party pyro. Can we go there?
We're getting there.
Oh, come on. I want to get... All right, go.
No, all right, the next part we're just going to skip over. There's another guild spotlight.
Oh, it's Das
Almar
Rooten
Dominion
or
Guild.
something. Again, Das Boot. I mean, come on, Germans. What's up?
It
Das
says
Boot.
Das Netz.
Das Netz.
Das
Okay.
Boot. I mean, come on.
Das Boot. My goodness.
Das Netz.
Yes. Anyway, there's another German guild out there. Das Netz. Awesome. They're a multi-gaming community, so feel free to check them out. Been around since 2011. They have communities in... Oh my, they did it right before SWTOR. I'm sorry about that. But they do have gaming communities in Secret World, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy, A Realm Reborn.
Secret World's still a game? That's still a thing? Secret World's still a thing?
I think it's a niche thing, yeah. About as niche as WildStar. And they got something there too.
That is so wrong.
It's only true.
Server
It's only
merge!
true.
Server merge! Okay, sorry. We got to get to the news, sorry.
We do got to get to the news. All right. Next up is, there were some complaints when Update 4 came out.
Really?
Well, the PTS on testing, I guess I should say. A lot of people are saying they were having hard times testing because when you got the pre-made character, you only had the gear. Yeah, they gave you all the best gear, but it was gear from trials that may not have had the best stats on it or whatever you would want, and there was no crafting in the game, like, because you couldn't learn it all on one character. They now did a direct copy of all of our North American characters over to the PTS. So that's on the North American Mega server anyway. So the PTS will have our characters on it, and this was as of, what was the date? They had it on here. Dear goodness. They won't do this too often, but they're going to try to do it probably between every large update patch. So they're just going to take a giant copy of all of our characters and throw it over to the PTS. That way you have it at start. And if you have characters that are crafters and etc., you can make that good gear that you had going into it.
Well, it's not only that. It's a lot of the passives and then like vampire and stuff. That didn't factor in that. So you had to go get a vamp bite, and there's a lot of things that really didn't represent your character well.
Fighters Guild wasn't leveled up, so like while I had Dawnbreaker, it wasn't flawless Dawnbreaker, so that's 13% extra damage. That's a lot.
Them numbers.
That's true. So there was that. So that's a step in the right direction. It's not a pre-made character, like, you can't copy your live character over whenever you want, but they are doing it every once in a while, every time a new update's available. So you should have your character available if you decide to test with your character. And I know a lot of people who have VR14s probably are going to do that because they're probably already decked out and ready to roll. All right, the last bit of news, Adventure's Handbook, issue number 10. Yeah, that happened. So first up, what was the first one, Deltia?
Well, it was Elo's one was the first one, right? Or was
No.
Oh, it was Party?
You were saying, hey, let's move on so I can talk about it.
Okay, yeah. So Party Pyro, author on the site here, PvP guy, one of his guides got published on the Adventurer's Handbook, which was really awesome. He's been doing a really good job. He really knows PvP a lot and is passionate about writing. His style is way different than mine. It's really funny and comical, but goal-oriented. And it was nice seeing that he got some recognition because his information is valid. And like it goes to show, anyone can get on this thing, that they're really focusing on different members of the community. It's not just me or two other people writing guides. There's a lot of people doing this. So I was really excited for him to get on there, and it's great for the site too. A lot of people go see his work, and if you're looking to get into Cyrodiil, it is tough to start, but go look at some of his writing. I mean, he's figuring it out for you, so you don't have to go through all that hard stuff, and you can cut the chase and make it just the fun part.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great people in this community, so I'm really glad they do these kind of things to try to highlight out. I know we do it as well, try to get the community out there, but it's nice to see the official ZeniMax is doing this as well. Next up, if you're wondering how to find all those hard-to-get collectible achievements, there is a forum member that's working to compile a list of as many of the elusive items as possible, along with where you can find them. Now, this is over on the official Elder Scrolls forum, so feel free to go out there and check it out. There's a link in this particular article, so you can go there. And last but not least, another content provider for the community, Loa, has been creating lots of ESO videos, and I've been watching these for a good long time. But I guess she's doing an ongoing series of all the stories of the dungeons, like Vollenfell, Aiden Hollow, Darkshade Caverns, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So check them out. Her video quality is really good. I like it.
Yeah, she does a really good job, and covers a lot of different games, but she's, got a lot of stuff on Elder Scrolls, so if you haven't checked her stuff out, go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to move on to our next topic, or not our next topic. It is our discussion topic time, our host rant. But it's not really going to be a host rant, because most of this is going to be kind of exciting, because if you guys didn't know, there was an ESO Guild Summit that was held by ZeniMax, where ZeniMax invited a lot of people from a lot of the top guilds in the game to come down to their studios, and they had a little presentation for them of things they're talking about. Now, what we're going to do here is, because this is a fairly long thing. It was spread over 2 days, lots of stuff. We're actually going to split this topic out into two separate shows. So this show is going to be on day one. We're going to talk about all the stuff that was in day one, which includes, as I'm pulling up here, combat responsiveness, crafting and collections, PvP, and the champion system. Now, next week, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the second half of the ESO Guild Summit and talk about gameplay and itemization, writing and lore, zones and content, and the justice system. I just felt like we weren't going to be able to cover all of it in one show effectively, because there's a few big topics in each one that I know we're going to want to spend some time on. So I guess first things first, I think what we'll do is we're going to read through each section, then we're going to go around, and I'm going to let Thais do the reading if you feel up to it.
Okay.
Let's see, all the way up to just this section right here.
Okay. Combat responsiveness. Our first presentation for the day was led by Jared Carr, ESO art director, and various members of the art and animation team. They focused on highlighting both the current state of game animations as well as future enhancements that are already underway. The presenters emphasized their work on improving the general combat experience, animation, and flow of combat. Attack animations. The team highlighted their goals to improve the
recognizability.
Oh, thank you, babe. Of character and weapon silhouettes, enhance the visual information that players have about what's happening with their character's actions, smoothing animation flow, and clearly communicating attack windows. The team has developed new and much improved weapon attack animations that flow much more smoothly during combat. The video showcased the following: clear but natural pauses indicating next attack opportunity, feel of weight behind swings, visual points of resistance on impact, dual wield looks the most improved of the 3 melee choices, flow of staff attacks and channels, unique stances and animation variations for each staff type. Lightning-based heavy attack looks cool, obvious when you don't have a target. There's still work to do on improving flow with mixing in abilities.
And this last part right here.
Particle effects and weapon swap timing. These systems were recently added to the live game, but still room for improvements. Particle culling is currently prioritized by range slider, but possibility of culling on alternative criteria like effect type priority.
Okay. Now there were also a little bit of Q&A stuff in here. Let's go ahead and go right through the Q&A, and then we'll talk about this. The combat animation questions. So regarding the performance impact of new graphical and particle behaviors.
Some ZOS designers shared a few performance enhancement suggestions. Close your patcher while playing, disable hardware acceleration in open web browsers, make sure to update video drivers, and disable any add-ons to verify the lag crashes occur in base client.
Okay. The next question, he just summarized. This is, again, by Tropos as well, so he was writing this down quickly. There was a question asked about the role of animation canceling, which is, of course, our favorite topic.
Animation and attack priority is currently driven by gameplay mechanics, and animation design is created to support the gameplay features. Animation canceling with macro usage is cheating, but the way that attacks currently interact is intended, but will hopefully be improved in the future.
The role of blocking and block priority, the current meta is permanently blocking while using abilities.
Blocking is the most important and/or significant action that players can take in combat, but currently the prioritization system and the way that blocking interacts with ability usage is something that ZeniMax are looking into improving soon.
Okay. Feedback and cues while using first-person perspective.
ZOS is working to greatly improve the information presented to players while in first-person perspective to make this view more feasible to use.
Okay. So you've got two more questions here that were asked. The potential relaxation of API restrictions for player feedback. Now, that's a hot button topic.
There are a lot of considerations involved in loosening the API, because the biggest priority is to prevent their potential exploitation by malicious add-ons or third-party programs. ZOS is working on identifying the biggest deficiencies of the default UI and considering alternative ways to improve them.
Sounds like kind of like a little bit of a political answer, don't you think?
Yeah, but I mean, that's, they gotta be careful. They don't want this game turning back into botting.
Yeah. And last question was the possibility of increasing the base in combat audio, particularly to indicate heavier hits or more significant sources of damage. Currently, ESO is very, as they put, treble compared to other action combat games.
They will get the audio guys on it.
Nice. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about combat responsiveness. Now that we heard this, let's go around the corner. What do you feel about combat responsiveness in the game as a whole? Just give a brief synopsis of how you feel it is in the game currently compared to other games. And TJ goes first.
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, go ahead, TJ.
I currently feel like it could use a lot of improvement. So this right here it makes me very happy to see that they're working on it, which I thoroughly enjoy. The weapon swapping has gotten better. I can now quickly switch between doing damage and healing Ag when he almost dies, which is quite frequently. So that's certainly gotten better. Now, even though I don't use a heavy weapon, I still do feel like sometimes my animations are clunky, that they don't really flow between doing this move and that move. When I do I can never think of what my moves' names are called.
That
Impulse.
surge?
Impulse.
Oh, impulse.
When I do my impulse into my lightning strike thing, that they mesh well together. But going from using my regular ability into an action ability, those they don't really. It looks kind of funky. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy about this.
Okay. Deltia, how about you?
And in comparison to other games, I never played Guild Wars 2, which is kind of like a block game. So in other MMOs, there is no block mechanic. It's just you click 5 buttons, and that's or 30 buttons, depending on your build. But I think it's gotten a lot better. There's a lot of room for improvement, especially with the animation counseling and like what is considered a heavy attack. Sometimes it's deceptive if you actually get magicka back or stamina, depending on which thing you're using. There's a lot of ways to cheese it, and people are always going to use macros. You can't get away from that. But I think still weapon swapping could use a little bit more. I'm still get bugged out a lot of times in Cyrodiil. Like I'll smash a key and it won't go for a good 30 seconds sometimes. So yeah, it has a lot of room to grow. But then again, it's pretty complex too. So I'm willing to give them some time on this. They're adamantly trying to do it, so that's fine.
Sure. I'm going to kind of piggyback off Deltia a little bit as well. Animation canceling, I don't know. I still don't think it looks real good because I've seen some animation canceling and your character looks like he gets stuck. My favorite is my werewolf bug. Like I get stuck in the werewolf form a lot. If I get interrupted while transforming, it's kind of crazy actually.
His character just looks like he's in immense pain.
Yeah. As for like some of the things, it's really hard to tell the difference between a light and a heavy attack, depending on, like, I use a two-handed greatsword almost exclusively while I'm actually playing, and it's hard to tell the difference. If I didn't have like FTC up to tell me if it was a light or a heavy attack, I really wouldn't know. It doesn't really mesh well. It doesn't.
But a light attack is just a click. A heavy attack is a hold.
Yeah, but
how is that hard to determine?
There's different heavy
Visually.
attacks. There's different heavy attacks. It might register as a heavy attack on FTC, but it might not give you magic back. For instance, if you fire off an ability and then a split second after you click, let's say, I don't know, crystal frags. So you do crystal frags. It's charging, goes, then you hold down the heavy, and then you click your block button. It'll fire off a heavy, but you won't get magicka back. Take that exact same example. You do crystal frags. It actually goes, and you charge up the heavy the whole time, and then it actually self-goes. It self-projects. Then it'll register still as a heavy attack, and you'll get the magicka back. So it's confusing to what is the definition of a full heavy attack.
I agree. It definitely is, and I've been trying to watch, and sometimes I'm holding the mouse button in and letting it go a little too early, and it looks like it registers the damage of a heavy attack, but I don't get the magicka because it's not a fully charged one.
And then some weapons like automatically go, like the, the destruction staff. I just hold down my attack button, it'll rip it out. But if you're using a bow, then you kind of screw yourself over once in a while because sometimes you'll get the full heavy, sometimes you won't, and you won't get the stamina back. So it's some weapons have advantages, I'll just say that.
Definitely. Yeah, there are some weird things in it. I was trying to think there was something else I really wanted to say about it, but it's drawing a blank on me now. But they definitely need to improve the comp. And of course, this will happen over time a little bit. As it gets a little better, things will flow a little bit. But some of the things, especially when you're switching, I think combat, like this goes back to animation canceling, which is why I don't like it. There needs to be a little bit of flow between, if I'm doing a heavy attack, they need to fix the animation that I go through the heavy attack and then it moves into the next animation, not just breaks. Like if I'm doing puncturing sweeps and I switch to something else, my character does a weird, like almost like it stops and then swings because it just breaks the animation early and it just looks a little weird. And I don't like that too much. So I think they really need to work on the flow of animations. When you're doing animations, they need to flow them together, cue them together. I don't know how they'll do that, but that'd be kind of interesting. Weapon swapping, of course, there are a little bit of bugs going forth with it, and sometimes.
Mine always seems to work very well.
It goes quick, but for me, I notice sometimes where I would hit it, and I actually do get a lag, where my character's stuck within like no weapon for like half a second before it re-registers. It's supposed to be an instant weapon swap, but my character literally gets stuck.
The only problem I've noticed is my weapon will swap extremely quickly, but then I can't use a skill for about half a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuck I'm talking about. Like it, even though they're like, yeah, it's instant weapon swapping, if I'm still waiting half a second to use the abilities because it's locked for whatever reason, it's not instant.
It's not instant weapon swap. It's just not. It never will be. I mean, there's going to be... That's why my bar 1, my primary bar, I have to have reliability that... Just assume you're not going to be able to get to your second bar at some point because it will happen. And the moment you need it most, you won't be able to do it.
Is the moment it bugs out on you and you can't do it.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about with combat responsiveness and attack animations? Okay. Face?
The out of the list right there, the one thing that seems to really excite me is unique stances and animation variations for each staff type. That to me just...
That excites you?
It does. I think it'll be neat. It'll add more variety.
It would be kind of neat when you see people, well, I guess I know you'll see people attacking all the time, but with the calling of attacks, if they do have a unique stance, you'll be able to tell what kind of weapon they're using just by the animation of how they're standing with the weapon or how they're using it.
Because right now it's really bland. Everybody stands exactly the same. Everybody's hunched over. Like, it's bland.
The Hunchback of Elder Scrolls?
Yes, that. Thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
The Hunchback of Elder Staves Online.
Elder Staves Online. That's what happens. Well, that's the problem. Everyone's carrying so many staves around. They're kind of hunched over from the weight.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing, you can't carry anything else around. It doesn't work.
Staves. Nothing else works. All right, we're going to move on to the next section here, and let's see. Oh my, there's going to be all right, let's hit up each little thing individually. So the system design was led by Phil Draven, who discussed some of the upcoming changes to game systems, which largely involve world interactivity, player activities, and guilds. So Thais, why don't you just read this part right here and we'll talk about it.
Okay, crafting improvements. Crafting tutorials will be much more helpful and informative for new crafters. Crafting writs are crafting quests to create resources and deliver them to a location in need throughout the world. Rewards from these quests will feed back into your trade skill by granting inspiration, craft materials, and a new item, survey reports. These reports are similar to treasure maps and point towards resource caches that contain private or high yield versions of the normal nodes. New crafting style, Dwemer, coming very soon. The Dwemer style will now be learned in chapters, epic drop, as well as in much more rare complete books, a legendary drop. These styles will be obtained from Dwemer ruins. The materials to make Dwemer equipment will come from salvaging Dwemer constructs and then refining the raw scraps. 9 trait item set. The Twice-Born Star, coming in Update 5. The crafting station is an Upper Craglorn. The 2-piece is increased health. The 3-piece is increased stamina. The 4-piece is increased magicka. The 5-piece allows the player to activate 2 Mundus Stone boons simultaneously. The devs confirmed Divine's bonus works for both buffs. New crafting style, Zipkin, aka Imperial Daedric, associated with the Imperial City, coming further in the future.
All right, let's talk about this a little bit point by point. So
2 Mondays? 2
That's
Mondays,
we're
bro!
talking about right now. Hold that. Hold it.
I think
He's
I
so excited.
heard Deltia kind of pee himself with excitement a little bit.
Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's... You know what that reminds me of? We'll just... I want to
pee in your pants?
It reminds me of the Ethereum Wars from Skyrim, where you could get that one helm. Like, you could either pick a shield or a staff, or you could get the Ethereal Crown. So you lose the armor bonus, but it allowed you to activate 2 of the Mundus Stones in Skyrim. So I always forego the armor. I'm like, I don't care. I'm missing the heavy armor helm. Who cares? I can have 2 Mundus Stones. Who cares? And I always went with that thing. All right, but crafting tutorials would be much more helpful and informative for new crafters. I didn't find them to be too hard, but...
Just go to deltiasgaming.com. It's fine.
Yeah, there's a guide there, but I don't know. It seemed kind of intuitive from my point of view, but I've been playing MMOs for years, so maybe that's a little different.
And you are super BA.
Yeah, that's right. What's my rank in your guild? OP Templar?
OP as Poopy Templar.
Thank you. Here's the next thing that I'm kind of excited about. Crafting writs for crafting quests to deliver resources. This is kind of cool because I've got crap tons of resources that I've been selling like on the guild store, but being able to turn them in for like a daily quest kind of thing to get better stuff would be awesome. Like this is something for crafters to do. Like dailies for crafters to do that they can earn better rewards. And in theory, you can make more money, especially if they're doing like contains private, and I think that R is not supposed to be there, contain private high yield versions of normal nodes. So maybe they find a node that instead of having 1 strike that only gives you 3, it gives you like 15 right off the bat.
I was actually confused about that. Okay, so it's supposed to private high yield version.
Yeah, so it's kind of like how the treasure maps are now. Like if you don't have the map in your thing, I'm like, hey babe, look, the mile of dirt's right there. I'm like, I don't see it.
Okay.
Did you open your treasure map and pull it out? No, you should do that. And then you can see it. So essentially they'll have nodes out there that when you have one of these maps, you can find these private nodes with extra mats in them. Or maybe special mats to help improve. So this is something where you can maybe turn in useless rewards you have or useless extra mats. And if you're leveling, it may help you level. If you're at high level, maybe you turn it in and you get, guaranteed chances at improvement mats like grain solvents and and elegant linings, those kind of things. That's kind of neat.
Well, they're doing a lot to make crafting relevant again, and I think that set bonus is really a strong way to do it. I mean, it's almost, it would be like getting a 6% crit chance and healing better. I mean, that 5-piece is so strong, almost everyone's going to want it, you know?
I'm curious, though, would you really, I mean, all right, we're going to skip the next section because we'll talk about that in a second. But the 9 set bonus, since we're on this, and the new crafting style, Imperial Daedric, that's pretty cool. But apparently that one you can only craft at a crafting location, so you actually have to own the Imperial City.
Which is another cool thing, making PvP, everyone has to do it, and incentive for everyone. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I like having stuff that's a kind of quasi-exclusive, like, yeah, you have to go to this super dangerous area to make it, because that's what the whole crafting locations were made out to be. But now it's mostly, once you have them unlocked, it's not really dangerous to get out there. Once you're there, you do whatever you want.
I'll have to have a whole team protecting me in order to go to that crafting location.
Well, once you own it, so you just have to fight to keep it.
Well, it makes the game feel alive, like that you have a purpose, and like even if you're a PvEer, well, let's get 20 people together and we need to craft this up, and you can do something on the weekend, even if you don't like it. You know, it just makes the world and environment feel alive.
That could also prove as a nice selling point too. If your faction owns it, you know, your sellers might be out there going, "Hey, I'm selling this a Zivkin stuff right now. If you meet me out there in Imperial City," you know, that kind of stuff. It'd be kind of neat. But all right, now back to the 2 set, or the new 9 trait, which thankfully I'm getting close to now. The Twiceborn Star. Now, I do know the 5 set's really powerful, but we're going to have to do some math on this to try to figure out how powerful that 5 set is. Because is it worth dropping all the crit you could get, or the single stat? Because most builds don't need health, stamina, and magic. Most focus on one thing. Full stamina, magicka, or crit. Do you think the 5-piece is going to outweigh the other 4 that you have to get?
Well, depending on your build. I mean, if you're a primary DPS, probably not. I mean, you could do divines on all your gear and get maybe 10% more crit versus doing a couple other pieces and getting 6 and some other stats. But if you're a tank, you know, that's more magicka recovery or whatever you decide to go with. If you're a healer, yeah, you can't pass up the ritual and maybe even the divines and getting some more crit. So I think depending your role, it's really role dependent for me. Tank uses all stats, so the 3 stats, that's great. If you're like a mage DPS, you know, probably not, but just more incentive to try things out and see what it is. And someone will number crunch this too and see exactly what the math shows, but you're probably right. For every build, this isn't going to work, but for like unique builds that, you know, do 1 or 2 things, yeah, this will be really cool.
Right. Okay. All right. What do you think about this particular build?
Oh, I would say for being a healer, in my head, it would be fantastic, because then I could have the Mundus Stone for increased magicka regeneration, and then the one for healing effectiveness, and then I'd be like, you know, really beast healer. To me, it makes sense in my head. Maybe to the math nuts, it probably would not be worth it, but I'd give it a try.
Nice. Now, my main thing is if I'm playing a melee, and I can't help but notice, Delta, you said mage DPS, and that's where you stopped. You didn't say anything about stamina. But as a stamina user, I'm looking at this. I really don't need any magicka. Very few. Health, I'm not really worried about. I get that other locations. I don't need it in a 2 set. Whereas, like, my Hunding's Rage gives me, what, like 8% crit? Plus like some spell crit and then weapon damage on top of it. But then if I mix it with like Night Mother, I get another like 8% crit. I don't know. Maybe the double Mundus Stones for Divine's bonus would be nice, because confirmed Divine bonus works for both buffs. I guess Mundus Stone Divine's bonus works for both buffs. I'm trying to wrap my head. Could you get 2 of the Divine Stone? So that it doubles the effectiveness?
Well, that would be like 15% crit or something crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, well, that's what I'm kind of like, could I take the same stone twice?
I doubt it. The same Mundus Stone?
Yeah, because
no.
If you could take the same Mundus Stone twice?
No, it says activate 2 Mundus Stone boons simultaneously.
Yeah.
So that to me says 2 different You
Yeah,
wouldn't be
but
able to-
right here, Dev's confirmed Divine's bonus works for both buffs.
Yes, if you have a Divine's bonus on your armor and you have 2 Mundus Stones, that Divine's bonus works on both of those Mundus Stones at the same time.
Okay. All right. Makes sense now. I'm sitting there going, man, if I could get 2 of the increased Divine's buffs, that would be insane. Like, it really would. And then, like, put, like, Thief on there. That'd be nuts for extra crit. Anyway. All right, next section. This one I'm not too happy about because I kind of liked how it was, but some people may be happy.
Provisioning revamp. Converting the existing system, including ingredients and recipes, to a system that works more intelligently with the objects that exist within the world. Instead of getting drippings from a crate, you might get flour from a sack of flour or grain from a bushel of wheat. Reducing the number of ingredient items by 50%, less inventory strain. No more alliance-specific ingredients or recipes. Recipes will drop based on zone, not character level. All ingredients are level agnostic. Add VR10 recipes. Easier to know where to get the type of ingredients you need to make the recipes. If you need apples, you can go loot a basket of apples. Ingredient types: meats, fruit, vegetables, additives, alcohol, tea, and tonics. Each ingredient type will come from a clearly defined and predictable source. Recipes being revamped. Once the change goes live, you will still know all your recipes, but they may change names. Recipes will stay the same quality, but may change slightly in level.
Okay, some of this stuff is really good. Like, I like a lot of it. My major thing that I don't like is the fact that they're reducing the amount of ingredients by like 50%.
I can see why, though, because right now there's so many ingredients, it's kind of hard to make a lot of the recipes. But with this will be okay, though, because even if there's like a million different recipes, there's still all kinds of combinations that the recipes that they are going to have in the game can be used in.
Yeah, but I like the way it is currently because the amount of recipes, like if you collect all the recipes, certain recipes may give the same stat benefit, but they use different materials. So if you're having a hard time coming across a specific kind, maybe you have extra. I think the major problem with provisioning as is now is some of the materials you get are not useful at all levels. Oh, not even all faction. Well, maybe all faction.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, some of the recipes you can't use unless you're Daggerfall Covenant and stuff.
Yeah.
See, that to me is okay. I like that there's faction-specific recipes. Now, there can be a recipe in... I just tried to snap. I hurt my hand. There could be a recipe with the elves and a recipe with the Nords. There are 2 different recipes, but they do the same thing. But it's just that, it adds kind of a little...
It gives
fun
flair.
Thing. Yeah. But the only thing I have this is I really, really hope they nerf the drop rate of grapes and beans. I am tired of looting everything and getting nothing but grapes and beans.
You don't want to make a drink? Come on. You get like 8 points of regeneration. That's sick.
Yeah, that's so not what I want, though.
I'm
This is
still
1,000
waiting for
stats.
the unconfirmed change, whether or not they're going to do it, but I hear rumors that they'll let us have both a food and a drink stat, and then those things will be valuable again, because then you can have both. And that would be really neat.
2 Mundus Stones, maybe even 5 weapons. It's going to be cray-cray.
It's going to be awesome. I'm going to love it. But yeah, a lot of the issue, I think, is certain stats or certain items aren't used at all levels. Like,
yeah, especially
blood
like
crab meat.
Pepper. If you get any pepper, just send it to me. I mean, you don't. That's at Deltia in game. It's worthless. It's
worthless.
Terrible.
You
just
don't want
give it to me. It's no problem. Okay. Sorry.
But I'm specifically talking like mud crab meat. You get that
no
a
one
lot.
uses it.
But those are only used for, well, the problem is they're only used for recipe levels like 1 through 10. And then you stop using it.
And like alchemy is relevant at any level. You're like level 1, you see bug loss. I'm like, bug loss. Or if I'm level VR 14, bug loss.
Flails his arms and runs at the
That's
flame.
why having multiple recipes that work at all levels. Like, I think what they should have done is change it so that, like, the mud crab meat, you get the normal one, the consummate and the fortified ones, whatever they are. They just require more mats, but still use the mud crab meat. That way, if you're sitting there looking at it going, well, I got lots of tomatoes, I got lots of all these secondary, the additive mats, but I need my primary meat mat or whatever it is. Well, I don't have any pigus or whatever, or I don't have any of this. Well, I got lots of mud crab meat. Well, let's just make this recipe instead. It does the same thing. The problem is the only things that are useful at the higher levels are honeycomb. What is the other meats? Like honeycomb is one. Oh, crud. I can't remember some of the other ones.
That doesn't matter, but yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but there's only like 3 or 4 of the primary mats, the primary level 1 ingredients that are useful. The mud crab meats, the shanks, the pork,
Beef.
the beef. Yeah, beef, for instance, is only used in like level 30 and 40 recipes.
And it drops everywhere.
Yeah. But it's useless past that level. You don't use it in any of the VR stuff. But if they had like a beef tenderloin that was a VR 5 and you needed beef, people would use it more. Okay. I mean, our guild bank alone has like 8 stacks of 100 beef because no one uses it.
Can I tell a story?
Sure.
You guys are going to love this. I don't remember if I told it last podcast or just to my guildies. So, you play this game a lot when you go for a walk with your dogs and you're trolling along. All of a sudden, I see some like blue flower out of the corner of my eye. I look over and I'm like, wow, bug loss. I got to go get it. But this is real life. I thought I saw bug loss in the game, and I had to go pick it up. But it was out in the middle of a field in Nebraska. Is this crazy?
Sweetie, I think you spend too much time in game.
I do it all the time. It's fine.
It's just take a break and...
There's a field of wildflowers next to my work, and every time it is growing, I drive by and go,
Mountain flower! Mountain flower!
I just want to go harvest all. I'm like, I can make so much money off this. This is used for all the healing potions.
And then you stop and go, oh.
I can't import it into my game. Yeah.
Bug loss NRL. That's pretty bad.
That's right. All right, this next one's exciting.
Dungeon scaling. Players are able to scale dungeons. Dungeon pledges, aka dailies, through the Undaunted Guild, which give bronze, silver, or gold chest keys, which are awarded depending on how effectively the player completed the pledge. Higher tier chests have higher tier possible rewards. For example, for non-veteran dungeons, a bronze pledge would involve killing the 3 main bosses of each dungeon, but an optional step involves killing all the mini-bosses or optional bosses. For veteran pledges, getting the gold tier key might involve completing the challenge in a certain time limit or under certain restrictions. Pledges can be done for non-veteran and veteran versions, so players can do pledges of each variety every day.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I love it. It's awesome. And I think this is definitely going to scale into the champion system, which we'll talk about later, is players are able to scale dungeons. So the experience reward you get, which even when you max out your character, experience will be useful because it contributes to the champion system, which we will talk about near the end of this discussion topic. But being able to scale dungeons, they said the dungeons will scale up to whatever you want the player to be, and the loot and stuff will be based on either the character level or the monster level. So if you're like VR5 and you scale the dungeon to VR3, the loot will be VR3. If you're brought into a dungeon at VR3 that's VR5, the loot will be VR3, whatever you are. But it's nice to be able to actually go back and do non-veteran dungeons, especially with these pledges, and not feel like, great, I'm wasting my time in here. I'm not getting any experience towards my champion levels or anything. But now you'll be able to scale it up. So yeah, it's exciting. My favorite dungeon pledges, I love doing dailies for dungeons. You go in, you talk to some guy like, hey, there's a problem again at whatever, and you have to go out and get buddies to go out and do it. And it's a good way of revitalizing the dungeon running community, because every day you'll see people out there going, hey, I need X amount of people for the daily pledge. Let's go do it. It's just a good way to get out there. You get to meet new people because lots of people want to run it. You'll have lots of activities to do with your guildies. It'll be a good time. What do you think of these? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm not thinking anything about that at the moment.
Oh.
My toe hurts, and it's my right foot that hurts, but I hit my left hand today, so my right foot and my left hand are killing me.
Oh.
Just totally random.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Continue.
All right. Deltia, what do you feel about that?
Hey, there's a butterfly. No,
That was random.
I know. I'm trying to mess with these. Daily's awesome. Like you said, if you get a skill point and never have to do it again, gamers aren't going to do it. They're going to move on. I mean, yes, people do it for the sake of just doing it, I know, but 99% of people don't. It's whatever's progressing your character. I think the champion system in combination with dailies is fantastic for the game because then you're always progressing. I don't care if it's 0.000001%, gamers want to progress. Gear grinds are needed. You need that hamster wheel. Oh, look, bug loss. And because for me, it's like if I go help someone at level 30 on my VR6, what am I getting out of it? I know that's not that's selfish to look at it like that, but I do. I mean, my time in game's valuable, so I want to progress. If we can both do a dungeon and both get relevant loot, do a daily that helps us progress, that sort of thing, then the level gap isn't so significant anymore. Doesn't really matter. Once they take VR levels away, have that scaling, it's going to be huge for the game. It'll be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
My question to this is, the first statement says players are able to scale dungeons. Does that mean that it's a player choice?
It is. It will allow you to scale it if you want up to your level at least. Or
okay, so it's not mandatory. You can walk in a dungeon and be overpowered if you want to be.
Yeah,
okay.
But this is to make it so that
every dungeon.
Yeah, every dungeon. This is so you can make it so that it's worthwhile to run it. Like,
exactly.
Perfect example is the low-level dungeons in Final Fantasy Realm Reborn. I hate doing them, especially on a high-level character.
But you get skilled.
You do get skill, but the rewards aren't there. You know what I mean? Like, you go back, you do a low-level dungeon, you're like, yay. I get really nothing out of this except for the little daily reward, which isn't that much to begin with, but if it was coupled with something else, I don't do them anymore because it's a pain in the bum to do the low level. But this will allow me to pick up that same low level saying, hey, you need to go out and do Fungal Grotto, which is a 15 dungeon. I'm VR 14. I don't really want to go do VR. Even if the quest reward's like, hey, I got a VR 14, or you get the quest reward, I don't get anything else for doing the dungeon. This will allow me to scale it up, and then I can do it and get rewards in the dungeon. So I feel like, yeah, I'm making money. I'm getting valid experience.
You're progressing.
Which is contributing to, my progression in champion levels, and I get a reward.
See, I can see it from both sides of the spectrum here. I'm okay with going back and doing low-level dungeons and only getting the end of the dungeon reward, but all of the stuff in the dungeon not being worth it. I'm okay with that. I can understand why that is. It makes sense to me. It's fine. But I also am okay with this, too, where the rewards scale, because both of the systems work very well in their respective games. So they're both good options. I feel like in this game, and ESO, this is the better option.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, I do like the idea of being able, when you finish it, you get a reward based on this. This reminds me of like the challenge modes in Warcraft, or what was the other one that had the speed runs that you could do? Guild Wars 2's had speed runs.
This game has speed runs.
Yeah, it does. There's an achievement for doing speed runs, but you get better rewards on how well you do. If you go in with a terrible bad party and you make it through it, but it took like 8 hours, you're going to get the bad reward. But this is going to emphasize good play, and people want to actually, you're not going to have some guy just derping around in there going, I don't really care. I'm just doing this for the reward. So he sits there, watches Netflix, and just spams, clicking his light attack, and that's all he does. He just wants to get... Yeah, me.
Will there be more chests for me to steal?
No.
Oh.
Sorry. But you will get it. Hey, this is a guaranteed chest you get to open at the end of every dungeon.
Yeah, but can I pick it?
You don't get to pick it.
Man.
They should make us pick it just because we need something to do with all...
Make it super difficult. So I have to sit there for 15 minutes picking it and cursing at it.
Nice.
Because there's really not enough impossible chests in the world.
Right.
Is there one?
I've opened one impossible chest.
Impossible?
I've never even seen an impossible chest.
No, I've seen.
I've only ever seen intermediate. That's the highest I've ever seen.
I've seen master.
Well, I know that I've seen an impossible. Maybe that's not the one I opened, but I know that I've opened a master. But I've seen one impossible chest.
Huh.
I think I've seen one impossible too. It was outside of Stone Falls or something like that.
Yeah, when we were leveling.
Yeah, an impossible chest. I don't know why. But anyway, here example of the non-veteran dungeons. A bronze pledge would involve killing 3 main bosses of each dungeon, but the optional step involves killing all the mini bosses or optional bosses. So it's a way of getting better rewards by doing everything in the dungeon, and they say for veteran players, it's, you get the better reward for completing a challenge in a certain time limit, that kind of stuff. It's kind of neat. Or under certain restrictions, like, here's something that I really love. And this is something I was telling my best buddy who actually just started playing ESO today, and we're actually going to play after the show, was one of the things that I really like about the game was the dungeon achievements make you do stuff that make the game harder for you, but it's actually an achievement. One in particular, I forget the dungeon it's in, but the final boss is like a vampire, and there's all these victims chained up against the wall. And he flies around the room, and in periods of fight, he goes and feeds off them and regains health. The achievement is, like the main mechanic is if you kill the person he's feeding off of, he gets stunned for a brief second, and he stops regenerating health. The achievement is you don't kill any of them. So you let him keep feeding, and you have to fight through his health regen. And that's really cool. That makes the fight a lot harder because you're ignoring a mechanic that's supposed to make it easier for you. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. But that's an achievement that I like doing, and I think it's really cool. So yeah, I'm so excited for pledges. That's something I can't wait to do it. Every day I'm going to be logging in and asking in the guild, hey, let's run our pledge today. Let's do it.
Yeah, it'll make the community actually have to play together for something. I mean, so many people play solo, and I get it. I love solo too, but at the same point, this is Elder Scrolls with friends. That's what we've wanted for years and years and years. Now that we got it, pull the arrow out of your knee and hit the group key.
Nice pop culture reference there. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. I guess this next section we can just skip over.
No. I am so excited for the next 3 sections. Okay, first, collections. Adding systems to offload vanity pets, costumes, mounts, and trinkets, yes, out of physical inventory space to allow players to enjoy the use of collectibles without hogging their inventory spaces. The new collectibles interface allows you to manage collectible trinkets, costumes, vanity pets, and mounts, all from the same interface. The dev team showed a UI mock-up which looked really nice.
I'm excited about this because I like to collect everything in the game. And like I've been trashing like costumes of like quest stuff, but I would love to collect them. Like if there's an inventory slot where it's like collect this thing, I will go out and I will find it again just to collect it.
I still have Bala's trinket.
That won't go in here.
I understand, but I was just emphasizing the fact that I collect things as well.
Right.
Just random.
Well, I like a lot of some of the quest rewards and some of the public dungeons just give you a random trinket that has a use.
Like that bubble?
Yeah. You get from one of the Iliad ruins. It's just a random trinket that traps you in. It's supposed to represent the quest where you had to trap a Daedra in a
ethereal bubble.
An ethereal bubble to hold it in place, and it actually puts you in a bubble. You're stuck in it. You're like banging on it. It's just neat little trinkets that are fun to play with, but they're kind of a pain in the butt with the way the inventory currently is. But now we're actually going to get an additional inventory space for these items only, so you can't use it and go, oh, they're giving us an extra 20 spots for collectibles. Well, forget that. I'm just going to use it for everything else. This will specifically only hold collectible items like mounts and pets and costumes.
Which means that Ag and I will have to go through the beginning portions of the game again to recollect items that we may have gotten rid of.
Oh, absolutely. I will do it too. Just if I see a little costume box, like go get the, I don't know, what are the name of those bandits in Bleak Falls? There's like a group of bandits that you have to steal one of their costumes and go through it. I'll go back and get it just so I can have it filled in that spot.
Deltia, are you a collector?
No, I mean, the costumes I really, really like. And you know that you can sell some of them for, like, I've sold a couple for 20 grand.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
I'm in town. I sometimes see people asking for certain costumes.
They want the goblin one because it makes you smaller in PvP. But I really like, yeah, I know, it's derpy. Since I have to wear a dress on every single character to do damage, I like costumes. Let's just put it that way. But
wait, can't you just wear a jerkin now?
Yeah, but it still looks derpy.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking to Delty before the show started, saying how I love the look of heavy armor. like I do, but I'm not playing a tank character, so putting heavy armor on my character kind of nerfs what I really want to do.
Well,
but being able to wear like full light armor or medium armor for DPS and then getting like a heavy armor lookalike costume will be awesome.
I hate to break it to you.
I don't like that armor.
Oh.
But yeah, it's essentially that I've actually put that on when I hated the look of my armor more than I hated the look of that costume.
I hate to break it to you, but no one wears heavy armor, even the tanks.
Yeah, that's true.
The best tanks in the game were all light.
Well, that may change with the champion system, which we'll talk about shortly. But yeah, it is something that's cool because certain collectible collection stuff, maybe you can only get them during a quest, and if you finish the quest, you can no longer get it. So if you hold on to them, yeah, maybe you can.
But is it going to be account bound, or is it going to be because like I bang on Star Wars a lot, but what they did do good was a legacy system where like if you got something on one character, it counted for other ones. I like that a lot because like especially the achievements. I don't know what I have in my Templar versus my Dragon Knight versus whatever. I wish like collectibles would be together. It's like trophies and stuff like that wouldn't just be one character. I don't know if that's in there.
Guild Wars 2 did that, where a lot of that stuff was like your bank was linked, so you could access all your pets and stuff in this special interface.
It depends if they keep them an item like that. Maybe if it's a bank item, if it's a shared bank item, yeah, that's great. Because then you just click a bank tab and go, oh, there's all my mounts, there's all my vanity pets, there's all my costumes, and you can throw them in there. Personally, like I get where you're like, because I know Warcraft did this later where the achievements then were account-wide. I like that to an extent because then it makes me feel like I don't have to be stuck with one character if I don't want to.
Yeah,
but on the other hand, I like that thrill of getting an achievement. So like even if I'm on an alt, I like, hey look, I down Fungal Grotto, yay! Yeah, I like that little message, that little carrot on a stick message. And games that make it account wide, you don't get it on subsequent characters. That I like it for it's toggable. Like there was a little list, like oh you can have your separate achievements if you want, or you could just click the thing going, I just want to see all achievements on my account, and it just shows you everything. But personally, this is just me. Some people may not care, but I like that little message when you see got achievement for this. That excites me. Even if I've done it before, I like getting it again. But you don't get that on games where it's account bound.
Not me. I disagree.
Oh.
But that's just me.
I guess. Next up, brand new systems.
Brand new systems, yay! Adding glass armor and weapons. ZOS is not saying whether it will exist as a style or a material type. Spellcrafting, poison making, and jewelry crafting, as well as mount racing. So excited.
Adding glass armor, they don't saying if it's a style or a material type. If it's a material type, it might be something along the lines of, like now this is the next thing you have to make. Albeit I would prefer it to be a style because glass armor was awesome.
I'm like over here about ready to explode. I hope they make it a style because in Skyrim, I loved wearing my glass armor and they had a whole bunch of different types and it just looked really cool and I'm really hoping they make it a style.
I agree. I like styles. Deltia, what about you? What do you think? No? Nothing?
Is he there?
He might not be. Spell crafting, poison making, and jewelry crafting.
Spell crafting I'm a little worried about. But jewelry crafting I think will be fantastic. A wonderful addition to the game. Considering they have everything covered in ways of armor except for jewelry craft. That's the last thing that's left. I'm actually surprised they didn't add this in with the beginning of the game.
I don't know. I think it'll be nice, especially if you can't find sets and stuff for it, but or at least giving a way of adding to it.
Are you back, Deltia?
I am.
Okay. What do you think about glass armor being either a style or a material type?
Well, it'd have to be both, right? I mean, but I think it'd be sick. I mean, I think glass is one of my favorite in any of the Elder Scroll games. I think it looks awesome.
Same.
So some of that stuff, I think Daedric's terrible in this game. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but like you look at Skyrim's Daedric armor or Morrowind's glass armor, it was sick. So if they bring in more armors in, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Now,
Dude,
spell crafting,
yeah.
poison making, and jewelry crafting.
Leave
These are
spell
coming
crafting
in.
low. Don't mess with it. Don't. Please, God, do not do spell crafting. Please. I'm sorry. It's going to break the game. That's it.
I love the idea of spell crafting, but we've already talked a lot about spell crafting,
Yeah.
so we're going to ignore that for now.
Poison making, I'm concerned about. I don't understand.
That's cool.
Well, it's going to be like Skyrim, where you can
Yeah.
make potion poisons where you apply them and it adds extra damage, or maybe it's like rogue poison in Warcraft, where before you could apply it and like you maybe have a silencing potion where it gives you like a 5% chance to apply a silence or a dot or
Yep.
whatever.
That's going to be cool.
What if it coincides with like the Dark Brotherhood or the Thieves Guild, where
That
depending
would
on
be
what
sick.
poison you make, it helps how you kill specific targets?
Or just immobilize them or like knock them
Yeah.
out, like
Wouldn't that be
capture them.
neat?
That would be cool.
Well, I think this would be...
Of course, it's all just my theory.
Well,
but-
yeah, it's all theory crafting because we don't know anything about it. But like poison crafting, back when rogues actually created poison in Warcraft, there were different poisons you could use depending on what you wanted. When you were raiding, you put a deadly poison on, which was a dot, which had a chance to apply a poison dot to your attacks. PvPing, sometimes rogues would add like immobilizing poisons or snaring poisons. So you could add these different things to your weapons so that way you can kind of mix and match based on what you're... In PvP, I can tell you what, snaring poisons and immobilizing poisons are going to be like amazing. Like people are going to want them like crazy.
Yeah, it
Like they'll-
just oh yeah, meatball. I'd be slowing people and rooting them, stunning them, making them mad, and just rage quit the game. The ultimate compliment from an PvPer is if I can make you Alt F4, life's good.
Remind me never to go into PvP with Deltia.
Next up is jewelry crafting. The ability to create jewelry pieces.
1 second. Did they say when this is coming out, or they said...
These are just new. Things they're just talking about.
Okay,
they
so...
have no dates.
So real quick, 1.5. What do we have confirmed for that? Is that really just City of Ash type thing? And just little...
City of Ash, face effects.
So nothing major in 1.5,
Nothing
right?
major face effects would be like one of the biggest things, I think. And of course the new VR dungeon.
Okay, so really this is all in the future 1.6, or we don't even know when any of this stuff's coming
Yeah,
out.
some of
Okay.
this is just stuff they were talking about that they're like, this is what we're currently working on.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. And of course mount racing. Yeah, we
That's
already
cool.
talked
I
about
like
distraction
that.
based.
I like that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think depending on how they do it, like I said earlier, I think it'll be neat if it requires you to use all the horse stats.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. There's like
So-
you have to sprint. You might get knocked off.
If you don't have enough
right.
stamina,
It's not just
yeah.
about speed. It would be really cool.
You may have to carry something, or when you're carrying stuff, your horse reduces speed unless you have the carrying capacity to hold it, so you stay at a current speed. I think that'll be neat, and it'll provide more. So everyone doesn't buy the light horse and max out speed. That may not be the best way, because that's what everyone would do if it's just get to the end first. But if it requires you to use all of the horse's stats, being a full speed horse ain't gonna be great, because when you're picking up those 3 rocks that you have to have when you cross the finish line, and they slow your speed by 10% each, you're now 30% slower.
We're gonna
We're
have
gonna make it flags instead of rocks.
It doesn't matter what it is. You just have to pick something up. Like that's what you require to end, but it requires carrying capacity. Do you?
dailies. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Wyona Stealth said in the chat room that dailies are confirmed for the next update. So I think the
excellent.
Undaunted stuff is what those dailies for that. So running dungeon stuff. So thanks for that.
Excellent. Thank you indeed. Last up.
World interactivity. Continued effort in populating the world, which the devs jokingly term Clickyville, with further opportunities for player interaction. The provisioning revamp integrates cleanly with the goals of world interactivity to make things more intelligent and natural. There will be over 80 types of provisioner clickables, which will give ingredients. Addition of Soul Gem and Money Pile clickables.
Hey.
Provisioner clickables now make sense. No more aged meat out of a bag of green beans. New dye colors including Sigil Orange.
This is one thing
Ooh.
Sigil orange. Yeah.
It's
One
not
thing
black
that I
and
do.
yellow.
Like,
Oh, sorry, I'll stop.
black and yellow. I do like how they're going to change it, that when you open up Like if you're sitting there looking for something specific, like apples or onions, you open up what looks like a thing of beans and you get meat out of it. Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. So them changing it, that actually is pretty cool. So when you drive by like a thing of wheat going, hey, I need red wheat for my, VR5 recipe. Open up and hope you get it and not be surprised if you see an apple there.
Or a stale radish. I'm so tired of stale radishes.
Yeah, me too.
And
Addition
grapes.
of soul gems. I hate driving by a pile and looking at a soul gem and going, I just want to pick you up, but you can't. Now you can. That's going to be awesome. And money piles. I hope it's not a lot, but I think it's still going to be kind of cool. Like, oh, look, there's a money pile. Oh, you gained 5 gold. Oh, cool. I think that'd be kind of neat. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and let's go through the system design questions. Maybe this will clear up some stuff. Possibility. These are all questions that were asked from the group to the developer. So possibility of scaling players to dungeon rather than scaling dungeons to themselves.
The short answer is that scaling works a lot more effectively when it comes to scaling the power of enemies than scaling the power of players.
Yeah,
all right. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. So there won't be any more of your VR 14, you go into a 16 dungeon and you're scaled down to that. It nerfs you. Other games do that. Guild Wars 2 did that. Final Fantasy does that. Those are like the only two that come to the top of my head. But possible incorporation of more vibrant yellow, red, and orange dye colors.
Dyes have to be consistent with the color palette of the game and should be drawn from colors that appear on NPCs throughout the world.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I don't want to see no hot pink.
Don't turn this into Star Wars where there's riding lawnmowers and it costs $15 to buy one. Thank you.
I like the fact that they're like, we're sticking to this, Elder Scrolls is a dark.
Yeah.
Well, it's a dark and gritty game. I don't want to see no bright nears because that's just not going to happen. I'm glad. Thank you for taking a stand. All right, the possibility of getting a better preview system that is more accurately represents how the die will look on your character for achievements that you have not yet unlocked.
During the design phase of the die system, this was a need that the devs wanted to address, but part of this unpredictability of colors is due to how different material types render the same color in slightly different ways. A true preview system is on the wish list to do, but doesn't have a firm schedule yet.
This is something else that I really like, and I did, Warcraft is the game I played the longest of, and I got spoiled by their preview system. Someone linked a weapon, I'm like, oh, that's cool, right-click, preview. Oh, that's what it looks like. Yeah. I kind of like that, just because, let's face it, us number crunchers, we know it's not all about looking good, but looking good while kicking butt is...
It matters.
It does. Like, if I look at a sword that looks ugly, I'm like, yeah, it's 1 damage more, but do I really want to look ugly doing it? Ooh, right-click, change to Imperial. That's my... If I don't like the look of something, I click change to Imperial. Yeah. But it's still a matter of looks. So being able to look at something like a sword drops from a dungeon, goes, oh, let's look at that. Oh, that's nice. I want that.
You know what I thought about them making, which would be really cool, is if you could make your own costume. So, like, let's say you do a full set of, like, heavy, high elf gear, and then you craft it, and you decon it all, so it's a costume now. So you get the look, but then you can wear whatever you want and still get the stats. I think that would be really cool.
It's kind of like a transmog system in other games where you can take the appearance of one item and make it look like another. Yeah, I agree with that. That would be really neat to be able to do is, like you said, make yourself look like how you want your character to look.
And then perform.
Turn it into a costume, and then, yeah. Because that would be really awesome. Again, preview would be great because then we could, look at that and see things. Okay, let's see. Where were we at? Possibility of players being able to move items within the world.
It's something they are considering and discussing internally, but no plans to do that anytime soon. If they did do it, it would probably be changes that are only rendered client-side that don't propagate to other players.
Okay. Well, that's still pretty neat itself, like being able to move things in, especially if they do housing. Being able to move your own items, like placing books on top of bookshelves or like cups on top of tables and stuff like that.
Arenas.
A lot of people like that. Ability to design shields.
They recognize that it's a hole in the current system, but it's something they hope to add into the die system in the future once development time becomes available to do it.
I like the idea of being able to like do your guild symbol on a shield. I don't like dyeable weapons. I've never liked dyeable weapons, but dyeable shields, like they painted shields. I'm fine with painting shields. I think that'd be neat. Deltia, what about you?
Oh, that's awesome, because like that's the one piece like I'll run around with black and yellow, but then my shield's blue and green. It's like, but yeah, if you could put, and I don't like wearing the sigils either, but if you could make the sigil on your weapon, I would definitely do that. Or not your weapon, but your shield only. Yeah, I'm with you. Don't do the cheesy dyeing sword crap. You're going to make it look cheese. And I think these developers get it. They don't want this game to look like a bunch of trinkets running around. But the more customizable you can have your character, the better it's going to make you feel. And that's ultimately what we want. I mean, we could be the coolest, most BA people, but this is your character you're spending 100 hours on. You want it to look cool, or 300 hours for that matter.
I'll say 100 hours. Come on now.
Yeah, that's a week, bro.
Yeah, come on. That's a long weekend, man. Okay, the potential for lottery drops in terms of collectibles or crafting materials.
The devs want there to be more practical methods for players to earn or obtain what they are trying to acquire. So they didn't sound very positive about the potential for ultra-rare world drops in this context.
I both like and I dislike that. I like a little bit of RNG with things because they can be real money makers if you get a really rare item to drop. On the other hand, if you really want that, it's one of those things that if you luck out and get it, oh, happy day. But if you are after it, you may never get it kind of thing. So I like clear-cut plans for it. Okay, let's see. Next question is potential for adding Nirncrux to Cyrodiil crafting nodes as a way to make that components more accessible as well as improve the mechanical risk/reward structure for harvesting in Cyrodiil.
The issue has definitely come up, but Nirncrux is thematically tied to the story of Upper Craglorn. The devs hope to come up with some other means of improving the systems of harvesting crafting materials in Cyrodiil.
Resolving the conflict between costumes and guild tabards.
Conversations are underway internally regarding the best way to resolve this when the new collectibles system gets implemented.
Feasibility of both food and drink buffs simultaneously?
This is an issue that gameplay is looking into, but there are concerns about the balance implications of using both. The concern that very few people use drinks is certainly valid, and one that the crafting team hopes to solve.
There you go. Look, they're looking at that. They know about this, so hold on to your hops. Because maybe they'll change it in some way that goes, hey, drinks are now awesome. And then you'll be sad when you don't have all your hops. I've been hoarding my hops, just hoping that they change it. And then I'm going to be the one guy out there going, selling beer, 8 million gold per. That's going to be me. That's going to happen. All right. Here's something that's kind of using caught fish in provisioning recipes that require fish.
Yes, new provisioning recipes which use fish in cooking will utilize fish that you catch using fishing.
That's actually really cool because I don't think anyone fishes unless you're after the achievements. But making like a high-end recipe that requires fish, people will actually fish to get it. 'Cause I remember other games, like they had fishing days. Because you could make like fish feast in Warcraft. Like on Saturday before the thing reset, everyone was supposed to go out on our guild and fish so that we could get a bunch of fish to make feast for the next raid week. And that was something that people would actually use. And possible achievement or better reward structure for collecting all the Mage Guild books.
The devs seemed surprised to hear there wasn't one and said they would add it to their log to put in as soon as possible.
Sweet. All right, those are all the questions for the system design. Anyone have anything else they want to add before we move on to the next part?
Not I.
Deltia?
No, it sounds like they're well aware of what people want, and they're just going to work on it, so I like it.
All right, next. All right, the next part of this is the AvA and Imperial City. So Brian Wheeler was up, and I guess he was with a couple of PvP team who handles content and rules in PvP zones, including keeps, objectives, alliance points, etc. So yeah, there's some PvE stuff. Let's talk about what's coming in Update 5.
Minimum rank requirements to purchase forward camps. Buffs will be local to the campaign only for PvP only.
Woot.
They are still considering how to handle buffs for PvE.
Amen.
Yep.
Anti-tunneling boundaries and ways to block exploits where players wiggle through terrain objects and get underneath the world.
All right, other than the last one is, okay, that's great. People who are exploiting should be banned anyway, so that doesn't really give us anything. So, yeah, screw those players. They're not doing what's right. Good job fixing that. Get rid of that, and then ban all those people. Minimum rank requirement to purchase forward camps. I kind of like that because people are complaining about how forward camps affect Cyrodiil as it is. So forward camps would, at this point, require a certain rank in PvP to use. That would kind of emphasize the people who have them are the people who spend time in PvP, not the guy who just bought them because he has gold. I think that'll limit their
You can't buy forward camps with gold.
Oh, well.
It's the one item you can't.
It's probably a good thing. But still.
I don't get it. I do not get this. I do
Really?
not get this. What is the deal with forward camps? Why do people want less travel? It's baffling to me. Like Tamriel Foundry when he was on, and he does a great job. He's Emperor. I mean, he knows his stuff. Believe me. But like me, even creating a campaign with no forward camps, there has to be a better incentive for death than just traveling. You know what I mean? Like the minimum rank. Why? I mean, so some level 15 spends 2 hours and gets 15k AP and wants to buy a forward camp, so don't let him? What good does that do? He or she spent the time to get the AP, killed people, and yet they want to limit that person from helping the team out? Wow, sounds like a fantastic idea to me. That's sarcasm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I
What's
hear
the
a lot of
counter argument to
complaints.
that? I mean, what is it?
I have to agree with Deltia on this one. Because I think that, yeah, there's a group of people who don't want forward camps, but what about everybody else that hates running all the way across the
Traveling,
world when it
ridiculous.
takes forever? When we were holding the guild event and we accidentally died to the slaughterfish, all of us did not want to run back to where we were.
No.
Because it just takes too long. Yes, we all died to slaughterfish because Ag jumped in the water. And we all followed.
You got an
It's
achievement
not
for
my
it.
fault. Yeah, we did good. It's not my fault. One guy jumps in. You might
Yeah,
call
you
me
go.
an idiot for jumping in, but you guys are all even worse because you followed me after you saw what happened to me. So I'm the uninformed person who jumped in water filled with slaughterfish. You guys are all the dumb people who decided, hey, he's getting eaten. Let's jump in too.
That's a good idea. Roar.
I didn't notice you were getting eaten, actually.
It doesn't matter. It's still a matter. You're following me. All right. I'm the first guy. Yeah. Shame on me for jumping in the water, but double shame on you for following the guy who you see getting eaten.
But to the point, though, I mean, it's not fun going, oh, now we have to ride 15 minutes back and not see one other player. That's lame.
Sure.
No one wants to do that. Like, I don't get make gear. You have to repair gear or something if you want an incentive for a disincentive for dying, or you lose AP. I don't know, something, but more movement is not the answer. Like, that's why I didn't like Cyrodiil in the first place. I spent more time riding than I did fighting. And if you keep doing that, less and less people are going to do it. People want to fight. Whether you win or lose or die, it's fun rolling out, knowing I got 1 hour to play. I can jump into Cyrodiil, go right outside the keep, take a transit shrine, die, go to a forward camp, and fight for an hour. It's fun. Or I could ride for 15 minutes, die, ride for 15 minutes, die, ride for 15 minutes, and log out. Really? That's not fun.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. And the only thing I'm going to say is with the reduction in number of forward camps, I think it adds a lot to the tactical benefit and it breaks up the Zerg a little bit. Because having a whole Zerg run back to a keep from far away, it does hurt progression in the zone. Now, the reason why I think they're doing that is because being able to break a siege provides you the ability time to repair the keep, a little bit more tactical. Maybe people start breaking up their Zergs a little bit to prevent people from just spawning right back at the forward camp, unless it's a hard push. Because routing a Zerg without a forward camp essentially halts them. They have to say, well, maybe I really don't want that keep if I have to run all the way back to it.
If you want to stop Zergs, make AoE caps. So You can't just AoE damage someone instantly. Then people have to focus target and actually use maneuvers instead of just impulse spamming as a big ball. That's how you get rid of Zerg mentality, is remove the AoE cap so damage is capped at one specific number and you actually have to focus on a target and use it. That's a lot of people want AoE caps.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm sure there's a really good valid point for this. It's just not my thing.
Okay. The next thing, buffs will be local to campaign only and only for PvP. They're considering how to handle this for PvE. As a PvE player, thank you, because I don't want to be stupid Aldmari Dominion in order to get all my buffs. So I can do trials and stuff, because you do get a considerable advantage for having all the buffs.
Oh, 20% crit? Yeah, it's stupid.
Okay. So yeah, I like that they are removing that and will make it only PvP. So that's good. Thais, what do you think about that?
I have no comment. I'm not really a PvP player, and I don't really notice the buffs.
No? Well, that's because we never have them, because we're
Filthy Ebonheart
packed.
Whoa, buddy.
Filthy, drunken, bearded.
We actually do have all of
dirty
them today.
elves.
Today we do have all of them, but as a whole, Aldmari Dominion has almost everything.
I support mass genocide of all the elves.
Don't make me flash my crit. Someone on my guy goes, how much crit did you have? How did you get that? I go, what's your alliance set to? I haven't set one yet. Okay, set it to Hatteras. Oh my gosh, 20% crit. Yep, best tip I've ever given you.
I'm glad they're removing that. I really am.
Yeah.
Future updates. Oil pot adjustments. They are aware of the ways that pots are currently used, and adjustments will be made to enforce a minimum pour distance or some other control. Elder Scroll bonus changes. Population imbalance adjustments. Crashes on both the client and server side. Spirit of game antics, spies, trolls, and guesting issues.
Okay, so yeah. Oil pot. Deltia, what do you got for that?
It's super overpowered. I mean, the problem with oil pots is if they're supposed to be overpowered when you set them up top of a keep, but you can like put them out in the open and then someone tries to get you and you one-shot them. It's cheesy. I don't like it. So I think you don't have to nerf the damage, but how you place it, I think, needs to be changed. Yeah, you want to place it up a stairs when people come try to take your keep, but placing it out in the open at a choke point so you can just kill everyone, I think it's just a little bit cheesy to me. But they'll fix it. And then the other major one was, what were they again?
Elder Scrolls bonus changes, population imbalances,
You're talking about
crashes.
The trolls and stuff. I mean, people are getting second accounts so they can just see who's at what, and then they read zone chat. I mean, that's always going to happen. But I don't know what they're going to do about that. Crashes and the graphics have gotten so much better after they did the particle effects changes. So much better. I'm very impressed by it. I mean, I'm not getting 60 frames a second, but I can be around 200 other players and I'm getting 30. I mean, that's a huge difference, especially if I'm streaming too. I mean, the quality's right there. So they're improving a lot, and I haven't had much crashes. Now, some people's computers can't handle it. I get that, but much, much better.
Excellent. Okay.
Imperial City. The city is basically just a PvE zone with PvP. The sewers. Super large public dungeon. Districts. Contain capture locations with PvE events. Difficulty is tuned for 1 to 2 players at high level. Each campaign has their own Imperial City. All 3 sides will potentially have access at the same time. Access is gated by controlling your 6 home keeps, making defending and home security more important. The population cap is shared between Cyrodiil and the Imperial City, so as one side floods into the city, their power in Cyrodiil itself will wane, allowing other alliances to retake less defended objectives. What's inside the city? Districts. Temple, Elven Gardens, Markets, and the Arena. new armor sets plus the new Zipkin crafting style, 6 new 8-hour buffs from the Divines. These are similar to Mundus Stone buffs, but temporary. They are AoE beneficial, so if you have a buff, it will affect all your nearby allies as well.
Wow.
Lots of enemies to kill, get money, experience, and loot. White Gold Tower itself will not be initially accessible. At this point, Brian showed a live gameplay demo running through some of the areas of the sewers in the city itself.
Arena.
Sewer respawn point is a safe zone. You drop off a ledge into the water below to join the action. Anchor pinions in the city districts have 3 sigils which control it. Deactivating a pinion sigil involves a brief sojourn into Cold Harbor to defeat some of Molag Bal's minions. Each of the pinion sigils have a beam indicating their current control status. To capture the entire district, your alliance needs to control all 3 sigils. When the anchor control switches from Molag Bal to one of the player alliances, the anchor is replaced with a small war camp belonging to the controlling alliance, and players are able to respawn in the controlled district on a safe, elevated platform. The Arena District contains a wave event similar to Dragonstar Arena, but with certain alternative mechanics because it is a public and PvP open event. Rewards from the Arena event are awarded to the group that earns the kill on the final boss, so PvP can certainly play a role in earning these rewards.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. So first up, of course, we got a big public dungeon in the sewers, districts to control for PvE related stuff. That's actually really, really cool, being able to go in and hold those districts. The thing that I noted was all 3 sides can potentially have at the same time. So when a campaign starts and you have each person has all 3 sides have access. So you can all go in. So it's just maintaining your home keeps inside is all that matters.
And then it's just chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Now, home keeps inside. Do you mean... Is it the home keeps that you have to crown the emperor, or what does that mean?
The home keeps are the ones that are actually closest to your side.
So it's not in Cyrodiil, you're saying?
No, it is in Cyrodiil, but it's the keeps that are... the ones you need to crown the emperor are the 6 that surround the Imperial City itself.
So you need to defend the keeps that you have in order to get this?
Yes. The opening is only available if you have the 6 keeps in your triangle of Cyrodiil.
That's cool.
Yeah. So by blocking access, if I go over and just take 1 home keep in each location, we block their access.
Yeah, but I can see a problem with this. It's just going to be... I know what players are going to do. Aldemir is going to get 1, Ebonheart's going to get another, and then Daggerfall is going to get another campaign, and no one goes and messes with that. So basically everyone can have access. That's the problem, is that there's multiple campaigns. Calling it now, hopefully it doesn't happen, but I could see that happening.
Okay. Well, it's a possibility. I mean, it always is a possibility, but then there's always going to be that one guy who decides to be, or that one group who, even though it's the standard norm, decides, hey, we're going to troll them and goes and takes a the city already is the new crafting set. The thing that I didn't know about that I kind of like is the 8-hour buffs
of the
Divines.
That's awesome.
So you go in, you get an 8-hour buff. That's beneficial to everybody. That's awesome.
Now, that'd be cool if it did work outside in PvE, because that would give the PvEers incentive to take this over.
According to this, I think it does.
I think that's
once
cool.
You have it, it's for 8 hours. You have that buff. It's not just within Cyrodiil. So that's really awesome. Okay, so that's the Imperial City. There were some AVA questions. We'll go over these real quick. Maybe we'll clear up some of this. Can resources be made more strategically valuable?
They have discussed this internally in terms of having the sources have a bigger impact on the strength of the keeps that they are associated with.
Okay. Will Embership ever be a reflection of true leadership rather than pure rankings?
This was discussed pre-launch, but the best call for launch ended up being to go at the leaderboard-based option.
I'm going to interrupt this real quick. This is something where true leadership versus pure rankings. Guild Wars 2 had this where you could buy a commander book so that when you're in World v. World, you could have an icon above your head so everyone could follow you. Well, it cost 100 gold, which was expensive in the game at the time to get. Eventually, everyone had one. It still doesn't really how do they show true leadership, really? People just know who the true leaders are, and
That's it.
when
Voting.
they saw them, they followed them.
I think voting or like if you lead a group, you get more points, maybe more AP or whatever the point is than the other people. So if you're always leading a 24 group, you should be able to get more Emperor points, something like that. Because just playing infinite amount of time, that's not, leaderboards is who plays the most. It has nothing to do with, or who uses the resto staff and runs around and heals people. Yeah. I'd get Emperor if I just did that for 20 hours a day. Yeah, no problem.
Right. Well, I mean, it is the lesser of evils.
It's
you gotta
hard.
think about
It's
it.
very hard.
Yeah, even your solution of being the leader, let's play. Gamers are selfish. No one's going to be actively wanting to go, let's let this person have it.
You're right.
They'll be like, screw this, I'll make my own group so I'm the leader, so you have 500 groups of 2 people running around because... I mean, there are some people who are like, some active guilds will actually go, okay, this person's Emperor, let's let him follow and he'll make sure we get him Emperor. But as a whole, that's like the 1%. Most people are going to be like, no, if you get a bonus for being a leader of the group, they're going to, hell, for me, what I would do is I'd log in and be a leader of a group when Thais isn't playing, sit her in Cyrodiil, invite her to my group and just make her sit there because she's not playing. I'll just make sure her account stays logged in and I'll run around with a Zerg and get double it, That's what will happen.
Yeah, but what else do you do? I mean, there has to be some way to... People that are in charge and running the thing have to get credit somehow.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was... The people who lead, they follow. That's why you follow them. And people who have good leadership will have people who want to follow them, and that provides them with a large army in order to take keeps and stuff, and therefore they will probably get Emperor because you get leader points by taking objectives. If you're a bad leader, people aren't going to want to join you. If you're saying, hey, I'm forming a group, people go, oh, I ran with him before. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I've ran with Deltia before. He's trash.
I've ran with Deltia before. Yeah, I avoid him.
He's trash.
Exactly. I mean, people know who the leaders are. That's how it goes. When I saw tags in Guild Wars 2 of so-and-so player, I'm like, oh, I know them. They are fantastic. I joined their group right away. There could have been 4 other commanders on the board, but if I see a name that I recognize and went, I know this guy. He's good. I go with him.
Yeah, but you had a nameplate above his head so you could see him, right?
Okay,
sorry.
See what you did there. All right. Separating siege items in Cyrodiil from potion, food, quick slot menu.
Quick slut?
Right?
Is that what you said?
Quick slot menu.
Yeah, quick slot. Quick slot menu.
Quick slot. Okay, anyway. Brian will bring it up with the UI folks.
Folks.
It says folks.
Folks.
Whatever. It says folks.
You're gonna pick
Tomato,
my
tomato.
words. Possibility of increasing...
You added a word that wasn't even there. I just pronounced the letters in the word strangely.
Folks.
You were more wrong than I was.
But we're still wrong.
But it's folks. It's whatever. It's folks.
All right.
Folks.
Saying folks, there's no L in the word folks.
Folks.
Anyway.
Okay, possibility of increasing the radius of defensive ticks.
This varies on a keep-by-keep basis, based on where the resources are next to them. The areas would need to be repainted, which could be problematic if larger areas collide with the defense areas of the resource nodes.
Okay. All right, I get it. Forward camps, their role in Cyrodiil, how are they being changed?
They are nerfing them first, and possibly removing them later.
Ooh.
Oh, that's terrible.
Won't see me in there.
Yeah, I'll never
I'll be done.
All right, that's kind of... All right, Alliance point progression and their role in character development. How will AVA contribute to character depth, additional skills, gear in the future?
Basically, there are no plans currently to expand the role of AP and AVA progression.
That's kind of ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that like skills and stuff like that. I don't like seeing PvP skills in PvE.
But they're the best skills. That's the problem. Is like
Well, that is the problem.
barrier is the best defensive skill in the game.
Yeah, it is.
And it takes forever to get.
But yeah, I don't know. I think AP should still like. No one will do it if they don't feel progression, but that's beside the point.
Well, I like the gear setup. Like, you have to get it for gear. I mean, I guess the Emperor thing is fine, but Yeah, I don't know. I would think, what about achievements being tied to moving your assault or support up? Kind of like Undaunted. It's achievement based. I think that would be cool. So like you have to kill an emperor, you have to take a keep, you have to, move your rank up. And so you actually have to do objective based things to get that cool skills.
Yeah, that would be cool. Something to think about. There's not a huge incentive to owning the Imperial City districts at the moment other than having access to a respawn point.
You missed the question. You're reading the answer.
Oh. Yeah, I am. What is the incentive of owning all the Imperial City districts? There are large end bosses of the districts are in the sewers.
There's not a huge incentive to owning the Imperial City districts at the moment, other than having access to the respawn points. They are looking into options of how to better reward the alliance that controls each district. Access to crafting set stations and other amenities might be access gated.
What a great answer you just said.
I know, right?
Player motivation for participating in Imperial City versus Proper. What rewards are there for players? What about Alliance ranks after 24?
They are looking into expanding the Alliance skill lines to include additional abilities, as well as possible Alliance rank-dependent tiers of gear. But there is some concern that this approach might be too elitist, favoring hardcore PvPers too much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Will they add new ways to level up quickly in PvP?
XP has been tweaked up for player kills to 4 times the monster kills. The daily kill quest was changed because of the way players were gaming the system. All the experience you can gain within the Imperial City is set to a high multiplier.
Nice.
I don't think that's true. Well, they say it right now, or they're in the future?
This is things they're talking about probably in the future.
Yeah, because if I kill a mob, it's the same veteran points as it is killing an NPC. It's nothing, essentially.
Do siege weapons work in Imperial City and sewers?
No, these are mainland Cyrodiil only.
Okay. Exploitation, Emperor farming, lag, disconnects, and crashes in Cyrodiil have frustrated a lot of players into quitting the game. How are you working to address these issues and handle them quickly as they emerge in the future?
A lot of time when we, Zos, see those behaviors, they try to take private, not public action to correct them. Hopefully, improved channels of communication with player groups can help identify these problems faster in the future.
Yeah, other than lag and disconnects and crashes, those are all whatever, but exploitation, emperor farming, that's just something where if you see people doing it, ban them. People are going to do it if they find a way of doing it, and that kind of behavior should be penalized. You should know if I'm going to be emperor farming like this, I'm probably going to get banned. Possibility of dynamic population locks to try to keep the 3 sides more even.
They have talked about doing some stuff like that, but no plans are currently in place. Improving the single-player PvP experience, ganking supply lines, checking out quest hubs, dungeons, etc. How do you plan to address this? And that wasn't in the right. And how do you see the Imperial City affecting this? Okay. There aren't any specific plans to add single-player only content at this time, but hopefully they can address that player group in the future.
In terms of locking, they did this in Warcraft with some of the big PvP zones where you could only go into the zone for the number of players who were in it. So if only 7 Alliance were in the PvP zone, only 7 Horde who queued up could go into it. They could do that for AD. If there's only 5 Ebonheart Pact, only 5 AD players can go into it.
I'm okay with that.
That'd be funny. All right, well, let's talk about the last thing on the list, champion system and future veteran experience. Yeah, champion system. So, awesome. All right, ZOS has to balance making players stronger while providing an ample challenge to players. This means a complete rebalance of the game and ability mechanics is necessary. Current granularity of stats does not fit well with the addition of small percentage bonus. Adding 1% on top of base level of 40 isn't meaningful to a player. Simply adding points to soft capped abilities would be bad. So, benefits of the current system, as it is in the game now, is helps prevent bad builds. Deltia may argue that. Freedom of how to play, allow players to go over limits. Okay? Problems with the current system is trade-offs are not pronounced, too easy to hit soft caps, and balance is harder with the current system. So part of the solutions that they're looking at is all your character stats, attributes, and damage values will be multiplied by 10. For example, health of 2,500 will become health of 25,000. This will allow small percentage bonuses to realize a visual impact on your character's stat lines. Soft caps are being removed entirely.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Now, with this, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit.
Say hello to Deltia with 500,000 hit points.
There are hard caps. That's one thing. They're removing soft caps, but adding hard caps where you can never go past a certain level.
Okay.
And this is the next point. Impose some limits. For example, armor, physical resistance caps at 50% mitigation. On live servers, this would equate to roughly 3,000 armor. So what they're going to do is they're going to hard cap it going, okay, if you spend all your champion points and all your stuff in one thing, you can hit a hard cap of 50% mitigation. But that's going to make you lack in spell resistance and blocking ability. But there's not going to be soft caps, but there are going to be dead hard caps, which will be very hard to hit. But if you hit them, it's going to mean sacrificing in a lot of other areas. Okay. Each source a benefit to a certain stat has its own caps. For example, buffs, equipment, traits will all and more will each have their own independent maximum to contributing towards the overall limit. Meaning that if your overall limit of armor is 3,000, you can only get so much from having like reinforced traits on your armor. So in order for you to hit 3,000 armor, you would need to have all reinforced traits, etc., etc. Once these changes are in place, the numbers in abilities, items, enchantments, and weapons, etc. will need to be changed. Compute rate limits such as DPS and damage prevention, and adjust NPC and monster stats and abilities. So what does this mean for the players as a truck goes by? You have to make commitments to be best in a particular area. More varied builds, better interdependence between builds, and some abilities will have to change, i.e. armor buffs will not stack. Itemization will be much more important, and the dynamics of combat will change, particularly at max level. Before we talk about it, let's do this answer question stuff a little bit. Actually, no, we're going to skip that part because we'll talk about it. So, champion system as it currently sits. So yeah, no more soft caps. I know some people were kind of complaining about that, but they are adding hard caps. Delty, what do you feel about all this, the champion system as it is?
It's very confusing to me. If they were building a system that rewards players for having ults that did account-wide things, great. If they're doing, it sounds like they're just doing a stock split. So for anyone who's not familiar with that, you split your stocks and the price goes in half, but you get two of them. So if they're making the health going from 2,500 to 25,000, they're trying to make every little point may make a bigger impact. I don't know. I don't see this being valuable. I like the game the way it is. I think removing the veteran points, keeping armor somewhat unique, and having a way to tune all your characters over time would be good. But like, let's say I want to play my Nightblade as a ranged DPS. Right now I can do that. But if the champion system comes out and I want my main tank Deltia to be tanky, so I have to put all my stuff into tanky stuff, well now when I get on my Nightblade, it's a tank Nightblade. I don't want that. I like the individualism each character has versus an account-wide champion thing. Am I wrong with this? Because that's the way I get it, that you have to align your stars and blah, 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 and pick these things that affect every character, not just your one.
That's not right.
Okay, then I'm wrong.
It is account-wide. So when you earn champion points, and they talk about this a little bit after, like you have to be 50 to earn champion points, but it's account-wide. So let's say you earn 50 points, okay? Mm-hmm. Each character can spend that 50 points however they want. Oh, okay? So say Deltia spends 50 points, your next character spends 49, okay? You earn one champion point. When you log into Deltia, he goes, oh, look, I have one champion point to spend, okay? You log with your next character who only spent 49. I have 2 to spend. So you have a pool that your account goes, you have a total of 100 champion points. each character can spend them independently. But each character contributes to get earning them. So if you're logged on to one of your other 50 characters leveling, you don't have to sit there and go, great, now I'm gimping my... So that I was worried about that too, but they did actually explain that out. This next part talks about champion system where they go into it a little bit more. And let's go over that before we dig into it a little bit. So the champion system is a new account-wide system that allows your characters to evolve and progress past level 50. So it's an alternate advancement system. You spend champion points in the 9 constellations. All characters on your account will get benefits you have earned, but your points can be spent on a per character basis, as I just said. Champion experience is earned through regular experience points, so it's very transparent and the system makes sense. Earned veteran ranks will convert into champion experience, but there will be a maximum on the amount that you'll be able to convert. All characters on your account will get the benefits you have earned, and you'll be able to respec your choices regarding how you spend your champion points. So if you decide, I don't want to be a tank anymore. Now, with this system coming out, they're coming out in phases. So Update 5 will reduce the passive stat boost from veteran ranks, but grant attribute and skill points for players to choose how to spend. So you'll get, that's pretty awesome, actually. The champion system will be introduced, and at first, both the champion and veteran systems will coexist for a short time, with the ultimate goal of replacing veteran entirely. In Update 5, veteran ranks will convert VP to experience points, so experience points will be the currency for character advancement throughout. So, yeah, now that kind of explains some of the worries you had, Deltia.
Not really. I mean, how are you going to earn champion points? That's ultimately how am I going to progress my character past 50? How do I get
experience? Regular experience will go towards champion experience.
So there's only one way to get them.
Yeah, but you gain experience whatever you're doing in the game when you're killing stuff, doing.
Okay, so I wanted a lot of champion points. Couldn't I just grind the thief every day for the rest of my life and be the best character?
There's a hard cap to how many champion points you can get in the game. At some point, you will hit a cap, but yeah, you could, in theory, go and do that.
I'm just confused by it. I mean, it's going to have to come out, and I'm going to have to see it and play it, because it's just a big, huge change in the game. Now, I'm not afraid of change, believe me, but getting rid of soft caps, you're going to... once I see the constellation and see where I'm sitting at points-wise and to get a little more details on it, it's too early to really speculate, I think, to be honest.
Well, it makes sense. The thing that makes me reminds me of this is how Guild Wars 2 did it, where you kept earning skill points every time you leveled after 50. So, 50 was the cap, so your character level never went, but every time you leveled, your experience bar, the experience it took you to hit level 50, reset. And every time it filled back up again, you got another skill point. So essentially, that's what's going to be happening now. You'll be capped out, but your champion level will keep filling, and every time it fills, you get a skill point.
But what about, so my VR14 Dragon Knight is going to be somewhat as powerful as my VR7 Templar once this comes out. Right?
Well,
what happens to all that legendary gear that I made?
Well, what's going to happen when this comes out is they're actually going to take the experience you've earned on all your characters, and that's how you earn all your experience points. So your VR7 Templar will have the same amount of experience points as your other guy, because it's a collective account-wide thing.
Weird. Well, we'll just have to see it. I can't even wrap my head around what they're trying to do or the purpose behind it.
Well, the thing that's kind of interesting is now they're bringing back the constellation system, so it rotates around with. I guess you have to put a point in each location: health, magic, and stamina in the various trees, whether it's warrior, lord, lady, etc. So that every time this is where I'm kind of funny on this. It starts on the health tree, so you have to put one in one of those warrior, lord, lady trees, and then the next point you can spend it in max. So you can't do all points in health. you have to kind of diversify a little bit, which is this is the part that kind of baffles me, like how this is going to work. So it doesn't force you into a particular gameplay style, but it does make you kind of diversify your points. Now when you're in those particular trees, however, each one of those, Warrior, Lord, Lady, Mage, Ritual, Atronach, they have passives that you can earn, and there's ultimates that you can spend at the top of the tree. Meaning, like, if you put all your points in Lord, at the top of the tree, you may get a special ability that you can't get anywhere else.
Oh, so there's ultimate abilities that are going to come with this?
Ultimates, I don't know if it's going to be an ultimate, but it possibly could be ultimates, but yes, you will, like,
There's
if you
an ability.
There's an ability at the
Wow.
top of the tree. All the trees below that are passives.
Huh.
What do you got, Davis?
It's written out right here. But you're explaining it, like, strangely. Like,
Well, I'm explaining it not off of this write-up. I'm explaining it off of the thing I listened to earlier.
This explains it so well. Each constellation has certain passive bonuses that you will unlock.